Hey guys, Tom Moran from Tom's Big Spiders here, doing something a little bit different this time with the camera. Billy's not here, so I just clicked it on the selfie mode. Figured it'd be better to have a background with some spiders in it for this one. Of course, I'm probably holding it all awkwardly. I don't have the practice that my students seem to have, and I can't figure out where to stare. Oh, there it is, right there. All right, so anyway, this is going to be a bit of a compilation, kind of one of my Tangled Webs type productions where basically we're going to go through several different things I've got going on in my collection as the dogs click away in the other room. First off, we got some molts featuring several of my Phormictopus. We know we can't get enough of the Phormictopus species. Next up, we will have some updates on some of the offspring I produced. So a couple spiders and scorpions. We'll also have just a couple updates on spiders that I've caught out and about. My OBT was out the other day looking rather beautiful, and I caught her. And I've had some people ask about my T Blondie sling, so we'll get one of those as well. And of course, what would be one of these be without an M. balfouri update? So I have an update for those guys. Again, I try not to do them unless I actually catch footage of them out, and I have caught some footage. So enough of me talking in the jittery camera, and I'm looking at the wrong spot again on her. Yep, it's over here. There we are. And let's get on with the actual video. All right, so here we go. Yep, this one's going to feature more Phormictopus. So for those of you who are always giving me a hard time about putting Phormictopus in all my videos, here you go. But I can't help it, they're so darn pretty. So let's start out with Phormictopus auratus, one of the Cuban species. I picked these guys up as little brown slings, and as you can see, they are starting to show their adult colorations. That golden color on the carapace and on the femurs is just amazing. Unfortunately, trying to get it to show up on camera is a bit of a pain, and here we go. That patented Phormictopus feeding response. A lot of times when I want to get good footage of them, the best thing to do is toss in a cricket or two, and they tend to calm down and concentrate on their feeding and don't worry so much about me sticking a camera in their faces. But there we go. If we look real close, there's that gold on the femurs and the carapace. I saw pictures of these online years ago when I first got into Phormictopus species and was absolutely floored by the coloration. There's just something about a gold tarantula. You don't see them very often. These guys have been growing very, very quickly. When I got them, one of them was about 1.25 inches. One of them was about 1 inch, but they put on size, as Phormictopus often do, or usually do, very, very quickly. So this was the first molt that the gold started appearing on their femurs. And I get a lot of people ask what size things are because the camera can distort them, although this one looks huge. It's probably about 3.5 to 4 inches or so. I'll have to drag the molt out and give it a measure, but I do believe it's around 4 inches or so. So here we go, dropping another cricket in, which unfortunately it was not grabbing. These guys were a little bit more secretive than some of the other Phormictopus species I kept early on and stayed burrowed and hidden for a lot of the time. I know somebody complained because they picked one up and he was upset because he wasn't seeing it, but as you can see, now that they've put on some size, as most of these species do, they're out and about and beautiful, beautiful showcase tarantulas. So hopefully people won't complain too much about seeing more Phormictopus. And next up, we're going to call this one Phormictopus species purple, no purple. And that was pretty much my commentary when I was shooting this one. This one was originally one that I bought years ago as a Phormictopus species purple. And as you can see here, it's got a very dark black base color, but those hairs aren't quite purple anymore. And before this molt, it was purple. So it's looking more like a common Phormictopus, granted a little bit darker with the base coloring. This, I think, lends credence to the theory that some of the species being sold as Phormictopus species purple on the market are actually just normal Phormictopus cancerides. So I don't know. The other one is still looking purple, but it hasn't molted yet, so we'll see how it goes. In a minute, we'll see what a true purple Phormictopus looks like. But there, if you look closely at the carapace by the eyes, there's a bit of purple on the carapace, but not all that much, and those hairs are more of a brown, reddish brown. So Phormictopus species purple, no longer purple. Oh well, still a beautiful spider, putting on a lot of size, nice and big, just the way I like them. Now, there's the purple. Phormictopus species Dominican violet or Dominican purple. This thing, I can't get this to show up on camera like I'd like to. The purple on it, it's got that dark base tone that looks like a jet black, but then when you hit it in the correct light, you can see the purple on the femurs. There it is. On the rest of the legs, you can see the purple streaks. Just an absolutely gorgeous spider. This is one I've had several people ask. I do plan on breeding this one. I will hopefully be able to find a male. I have 2 females. The other female actually was more of a darker shade of purple beforehand, so we'll see if her colors change afterwards. But as you can see there, that is one gorgeous spider. Hence why I keep doing Phormictopus updates. But again, it's a lot of them been molting around here, so that's why we're getting the updates today. Now this next one coming up, and it'll be like 3, 2, 1, there we go, is my Phormictopus species blue female. Now, a little backstory about this one. I bought a pair a few years ago, a female and a male. The male was much smaller than the female. Well, the female, despite my efforts to keep them on the smaller side and keep them from maturing too soon, matured about 1.5 years ago, and the female, unfortunately, went into pre-molt and did not molt for over a year. Yes, that's right. It took her a full year. And this is something to keep in mind with Phormictopus. They put on a lot of size early. They blow up from slings to young adults very, very quickly, but once they hit around the 6-inch mark, 5 or 6 inch mark, they slow down quite a bit with the growth rate. Granted, when they molt, you get quite a big amount of growth on them, but not as fast as when they are smaller. So something to keep in mind. But you can see there the blue, it's still not coming out as well as I hope, but on the abdomen you can see that blue base tone and then the bluish grays on the legs. Now this one did just molt like a day before, so I'm going to try to get an update soon when she hardens up and see if the colors change. But there is a bluish hue to her. But the male, if anybody remembers, I'll try to find a picture to include in here, but I'm not sure where it is, was a greenish gold. It had all kinds of colors going on. It was an absolutely beautiful specimen. Now the male is still kicking, but unfortunately he is on his last leg, so as soon as I fatten this girl up a bit, we will try to pair them, and hopefully he's got enough left in the tank to get the job done, because this was a species I purchased with the sole intent on reproducing, because you don't see them around here often. And now people have been asking about some of the things I raised myself, and I have a couple baby updates to make here. First one are the Caribbean versicolors. These guys are at Fear Not Tarantulas now. Tanya took the majority of them, but I did keep 5 for myself. And there's the molt, and there's the baby, looking beautiful, beautiful blue, put on a decent amount of size. There's my gnarly thumb that I'm now trying to hide behind that. I got to start biting my fingers. But these guys are growing pretty well. 4 of them are looking really good. One of them is a little bit smaller than the other ones and hasn't been eating quite as well. We'll see how that one does, but that sometimes is an issue. Anybody that's raised any type of animals before, you have runs, so we'll see. I love the runs. I've always had a soft spot for them, so hopefully we'll bring that one up to size. But all of them but that smaller one have molted already, and they are doing great. And here is one of my Titus stigmerus. We'll call it communal. This was the babies. You can see the babies, and I mentioned before that you want to put vertical bark in there because they will use it, or a diagonal bark. They will use it to molt, and there you can see one molting. It is attached itself to the bark upside down and is peeling itself out of the old exoskeleton. So you can see the new exoskeleton on the scorpion toward the bottom where that other one's moving, and the other one, the rest of the exoskeleton is stuck to the bottom of that. And it's weird because after this happens, they pull down that old exoskeleton, and you'll see little pieces of it on the ground. Now, I'll be rehousing these guys very soon. There was supposed to be a rehousing when I shot this one, but unfortunately, this one was molting, so I couldn't do it. But you can see on the bottom some of that yellow mold. This is the Lugardi once again, so I will be getting rid of this, and I'll have more on the Lugardi coming up in a moment in this video as my dogs, of course, click around in the background. But I was really excited to catch this because I haven't caught any of my scorpions molting now that I think about it. I've caught them right after the fact, but they tend to be a bit more secretive than the tarantulas. I don't catch them doing it, so I was really excited to catch this one out and about and to be able to show how they molt upside down, because I've had people ask when I mentioned it. So there we go, Titus stigmerus. These guys, I'm going to be probably having several of these available soon because I have too many. Okay, we're about to rehouse one of the Hapalopus species, Columbia larges. This is a special one because this is the first one that ate out of the 300 and something that I raised in the sack. I sold most of them, but I have a handful of them left. And this one, the little marking up top, I don't know what the heck that's supposed to be. Cybertronian or something. It's not English, but I marked it because this was the first one I caught eating because it was a stressful period where I couldn't get any of them to eat, and I was freaking out. It's my first sack. I was very stressed out over it. But we're going to go ahead and get this one in its new enclosure. I got these from Tanya at Fear Not. She brought some over and let me try out, and I really love the way they look. You see here, easily ventilated. I think I used the soldering iron for these, but you can easily use the Dremel tool, which I used on some other ones. So ventilated it really nice, holds a decent amount of substrate. I mean, they just look very pretty and they're stackable. So these guys are very flighty. So this could be a debacle. Actually, let me get some cups ready. Actually, you know what? Let me do this. A good chance it's going to come up and out. Get a good look at it. I'm just going to grab my tools. Now, hopefully this one will turn out to be female, because I recently lost one of my 2 adult females to a bad molt. It was one of the first bad molts I've experienced. I was really, really bummed about that. I think I talked about that in a video or a podcast or something. I think I talked about it in a podcast. Oh, and there it goes. No, that's good. Hides under there. So what I got there is cork bark with some plant life put on, fake plants glued into it. That is New Zealand sphagnum moss, which I'm liking a lot better than the sphagnum moss I was using before. It's pretty pricey. I think I paid $12 on Amazon for a small, well, there we go, for this bale here. But it's really compact and seems to, once you separate it, it's much more volume than it looks. And some moist substrate, which is a mixture of topsoil and vermiculite with a little bit of sand thrown in. So there we go. That one's rehoused. I will be keeping this one because, honestly, I was so much less stressed. There's a little butt right there when this one ate, because then right after it, all the other ones started eating, which was great. So there we go. Hapalopus species, Columbia large, juvenile, doing really well in its new enclosure. Next up, this one features just some random things I caught. First one up is my female P. murinus, or OBT. This girl is just such a sweetheart, and I know a lot is said about the defensiveness of this species, but I think I really lucked out with this girl because she has never had a defensive, well, I guess you can't say bone in her body, but we'll use that expression. She's always been very laid back and kind of not even really skittish, just very, very shy. So here I baited her out with a cricket, and as you can see, she's doing her little eating happy dance. In a minute, she'll get sick of me shining the light in her face and go back into her burrow. But as you can see, she's kind of just standing out and about, not really freaking out or running. Now, this is the one I did almost have the mishap with a couple of years ago, where I tried to tape her eating and she overshot the cricket and came right out. So, but that was a feeding response, not a defensive response. So again, just a beautiful species. I love the color orange. I can't get enough of orange tarantulas, and it doesn't get much more orange than this here. Just a beautiful, beautiful girl. And here is one of my Theraphosa blondie or blondie slings. As mentioned in a podcast earlier, I originally had 2, and one of them mysteriously died. I thought it was going into molt. This one here is looking pretty. Now, as you can see, the way you can recognize blondies from sturmies and from apophysis is apophysis. All of the toes will be pink when you get one, so all 4 of the ends of those feet will be pink. The sturmy, when they are slings, the front 4 will be pink, and the blondie have no pink. And then later on, when they get older, they have the hairs on the knees. But you can see these are beautiful little slings. Hardy as heck, or great eaters. I shouldn't say hardy because I lost one, but I'm unfortunately not sure what happened with that. That was one of the ones I think it had something to do with the substrate. I've since switched my substrate out because I'm worried there's something wrong with it. But as you can see here, just a gorgeous little spider. And this one is now on cocoa fiber mixed with vermiculite because I wanted to get rid of the soil because I was getting some issues with gnats and such, and it was kind of freaking me out. So she's been doing great eating, and hopefully we get another molt soon. All right, so this is one that I did not plan on rehousing again, but it's one of my Ecampus Trout slings, and as you can see, there it is. Beautiful. What do we think this is? Yellow dog slime, dog vomit mold, or some kind of. We're trying to figure out what it is. It's a type of fungi. But if you can see how this is arranged, hopefully you can see the layers there. Up here was some of my substrate, and then I used the Lugardi substrate down here, and I've had a big time problem with the Lugardi substrate breaking out in this stuff. So this will be, I believe, the 6th one I've had to rehouse that I used the Lugardi with, that I got this stuff with. So I don't like to bash anybody's business or anything, and I obviously just did a big review of that, but I might be pulling that review down because this just seems too much of a coincidence. It's 6 things I rehouse, 6 things develop this type of fungi, and it has a very sweet smell to it. So we're going to try to dig this poor son of a gun out for the 2nd time in about 2 months. Actually, I have some. I hate putting mold stuff in here because it's just going to transfer to something else. And then we got freaking gnats. Oh, God, I'm so sick of gnats. I'm going to try to just get the dirt to drop out. And I think it was behind the label. I have to take this outside and wash it because now it's got freaking fungi. I mean, they're everywhere. And this one just molted, so I guess it's a good time as any to get it out of here and into something else. No, it's going deeper. Yep, there it goes. Now, hopefully, what I did with this one is put moist substrate on the bottom to encourage the burrowing again, because it will continue to burrow. Dry on top. Hopefully this will keep the mold down. Problem is, when you rehouse a spider that's in mold, there's a chance the spider actually has some of the spores on it. Let's see if I can get this one in. So I'm not pleased with having to rehouse this one again so soon. No, I want you in here, not on the dirt. She might be. If I'd seen how big this one was, I probably would have given it an even bigger enclosure. Which is not my day. All right. Whoop, there we go. So this one will be in here for a little while longer. Hopefully you don't transfer any of those spores over. I'll go ahead and unfortunately I just did a husbandry video on these guys, but they're very difficult to find now. So unfortunately, good luck finding them. I'm going to drop a water dish in with it in a moment, but there we go. As she tries to escape, I'm going to cap this. So Ecampus Trout, you can see, still very skittish behavior, but still, what is she, about an inch and a half now or so? I say she, I don't know what it is. And hopefully we won't get mold in this enclosure because I'm going to be really upset if I do, or fungus. And you can see here, just that stuff you don't want to play around with. I tell people if you get a little fuzzy white mold in the top, just surface clean it, use a spoon, dig up the area, put some dry dirt around it, let it dry out. But that was actually in the burrow. That's not a healthy situation. So there we go. Ecampus Trout, rehouse. Thank you, Lugardi, for what appears to be some crummy substrate. I don't know. Is anybody else having any problems with it? If they are, please chime in the comments. I'd be curious to hear. But again, it seems like I've had 6, I think it is, that I've had to rehouse that I used. The first one, it didn't occur to me. Second one was like, wait a minute, I used Lugardi for this. And now it's like, this is the 6th one I've had to rehouse because of this fungus in it. So there we go. The Ecampus Trout. I'll be changing the label on this in a minute. Hopefully this one won't get all moldy, fungusy. And finally, what everybody's probably been waiting for, balfouri communal update. Again, guys, if I'm not posting an balfouri update, it means I have nothing to post but dirt. I have people that have been supposedly following all these videos, and I repeatedly get like commanded to do an balfouri update. Literally, it's been dirt all winter long. I literally, once again, thought about doing an balfouri update where I just showed the dirt, but I figured people wouldn't find it as funny as I probably did. So please have patience. If I'm not doing a balfouri update, I'm not holding out on anybody. There's nothing to show. And last time I was able to catch a couple of them out, it was like 2, and I got my phone out and went to record, and they ducked back into their den. So my best shot is usually after I feed them. I can get some out and about. And here you can see some of them out. There's some feet in there. That one's sticking out. There's a couple more out. Now, for anybody that's just seeing this for the first time, I will recap. I started off with 9 slings. They were in a smaller enclosure, about 11 by 7 by 7 or so. Once they got bigger, I put them into this one that's about 11 by 11 by 2 feet. And now they've pretty much turned into young adults. I had one male in the group and he matured. He was running around trying to mate with the females, but it didn't look like the females were that into it or ready to breed, but I'm not sure yet if they were bred. So that's something to think about. They did disappear for the entire winter, and I rarely saw any of them out. Billy and I were actually able to count 7 yesterday, so there were at least 7 there. Unfortunately, I'm pretty certain the male has since passed. I have not seen him in a long time, since before the winter. I bred my other female adult balfouri and put him back in, and then I saw him for maybe a month after that and then haven't seen him again. So I have a funny feeling he's passed. So here's a little bit later. There are 2 more in that back left corner, 1 in the front, 1 up there. If you look down in the tunnel, there's 1 in there, and there is 1 in another tunnel that I don't think I get a particularly great picture of, but I'm trying to show that most of them at least are accounted for. I have no reason to believe that all 8 females aren't still alive. But again, this has been one of the most rewarding, if not, it's probably been the most rewarding thing I've done in the hobby. Obviously, I know people get impatient because they love hearing about them, which is great. It's just sometimes I feel like I'm like freaking out because I'm not getting any good footage of them, and that's just the way it is, unfortunately, with these. And I've had other people contact me about theirs disappearing during the long winter months. They seem to sense, even if you keep the room warm, and I have a humidifier, so it keeps the humidity from dropping. My humidity was right around 50% all winter long, which kept it a pretty good level as far as humidity is concerned, because it can drop to the single digits when the heater runs or when the furnace runs, but they seem to detect when it's winter out and they disappear for a while. So even though the temperatures didn't change all that much, they seem to recognize it and they go bye-bye for the winter. So luckily, I was able to catch them out, so hopefully this will satiate everybody's appetite for catching footage of these guys. You don't see it very much, and I know I'm trying my darndest to catch footage, but sometimes I don't get any. Now, we will be waiting to see if they are bred. I think my larger female is bred, and she has not laid a sack yet, so we'll see. I'm hoping she lays one at some point. I was almost half expecting to see little babies coming out of these tunnels at one point, because they did all get very, very secretive and reclusive, but again, I think that was just that typical winter behavior. So there we go. M. balfouri, communal setup. All of them looking good, pretty and blue. And we have one more update to this one. And I know people like the ones where they're under the red light. So, again, here we go. I'll get on my soapbox. I had somebody contact me the other day to say I didn't need to put water dishes in my enclosures. Tarantulas don't drink, so we get to combine my old, here you go, here's a picture of tarantula drinking, so please stop with that nonsense, and M. balfouris. It's a match made in heaven, so I kind of get to show off a little balfouri drinking, which I have not seen one of these guys drink in quite some time, so this was very cool, and get to show people that, yes, look, this is a big open water dish. There's no pebbles in it. There's no rocks in it. There's no cotton balls. There's no sponges. It is an open water dish. That little balfouri is perching itself right upon the edge and getting a nice long drink. And there's her little booty. Love getting pictures of tarantulas drinking. Love when people send me pictures of tarantulas drinking, because it reinforces what I already know, is that they can drink from water dishes. It is good to include water dishes with them so that they have that opportunity. Can they survive without water dishes? Well, people keep them that way, so I guess they can. Do I want to take the chance on one of them not getting water when they need it? No, I don't. I mean, think of it this way. If this one's drinking, it obviously wasn't getting all the moisture it needed from its food. So there we go. And do they have them in the wild? Of course not, but they're also not kept in plastic cages with fake plants. So there you go, too. Sorry, not to get nasty there, but it drives me nuts that I'm still getting comments about not including water dishes. All right, as always, thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I enjoy doing those. They take a little longer, though, which is why I don't do them as often. But I do like mixing things up and kind of showing what's going on around here. I'm putting together another one as we speak. I have a lot of footage I have to use. We're talking a couple hours worth. I just haven't had time to put together. So rather than stretch it out where things aren't particularly timely, sometimes you'll see like a rehousing of something that I've already featured in a feeding video because I shot them out of order. So we'll try to get some of these things out and so people can look at them and see what's going on here. But I do hope that you guys enjoyed it. I would like to say happy birthday to Aiden Gomes, who asked that I shout out was that individual's birthday, I believe Monday. So a little late on this one. And again, Aiden, I'm sorry, I'm not sure guy or girl, so my apologies. I don't want to say his birthday or her birthday and screw up. So, and I do know a boy Aiden, a girl named Aiden that spell their name is exactly the same as yours. So I'm doing the best I can. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. If you haven't caught any of my videos before, please feel free to check one out. I will usually put them here and here. And if you liked what you saw and like to subscribe, I always appreciate it. You can go ahead and click the subscription link up there. Love getting comments. Try to respond to every single one of them, whether it's somebody new or somebody's been around for a while. So please take time to comment. I guess that's about it right now. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.